It's 3 a.m. You're in a helium headspace. It's September 17th, 2025. Martin Scorsese's The Age of Innocence premiered on this day in 1993. It starred Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, Winona Ryder, and Joanne Woodward, who as the unnamed narrator narrated, "Carriages waited at the curb for the entire performance. It was widely known in New York, but never acknowledged, that Americans want to get away from amusement even more quickly than they want to get to it." Adjusted for inflation, it made $9.3 million its opening weekend and went on to make $71.2 million. It's the birthday of Hank Williams, born Hiram King Williams in Mount Olive, Alabama on September 19, 1923. A frail kid with a big voice who learned his chords from Rufus T. Tot Payne on Montgomery Street corners and was leading the Drifting Cowboys and singing on WSFA radio by his teens. In 1949, he hit the Grand Ole Opry with Lovesick Blues and drew 6 encores, after which the songs seemed to pour out. I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, Cold, Cold Heart, Hey Good Lookin', You're Cheatin' Heart. Plain words, homesick melodies, timed so exactly to the human ache that they called him the Hillbilly Shakespeare. He carried a bad back and worse luck, but he kept turning sorrow into 3 chords anyone could play and no one could improve. He died at the age of 29, just after the break of New Year's Day, 1953, in the backseat of a car, his songs still on the radio and the country humming right along. Robert Graysmith was born September 17, 1942, in Pensacola, Florida. He was a quiet cartoonist at the San Francisco Chronicle who found himself tugged into one of the most compelling mysteries of the American century. Who exactly was this deranged killer who called himself the Zodiac? The Zodiac letters arrived, the ciphers winked, and his sketchpad gave way to long nights at the kitchen table with paper, patterns, and hunches. He turned that stubborn curiosity into the bestseller Zodiac, and later Zodiac Unmasked, books that helped fix the case in the country's imagination and eventually sent Jake Gyllenhaal to play him in David Fincher's 2007 film. On his birthday, we remember not the killer so much as the civilian who wouldn't let his questions go, and how a man with a pen and a puzzle set the story more than a man with a knife and a mask. It's the birthday of filmmaker Baz Luhrmann. Born September 17, 1962, in Sydney, Australia. He grew up in the little New South Wales town of Herons Creek, where his mother taught ballroom dancing and his father ran a petrol station and a movie theater. A childhood that planted equal parts sequins and celluloid in his imagination. At the National Institute of Dramatic Art, he devised a student stage piece that became Strictly Ballroom, the scrappy Valentine to rule-breaking dancers that launched his career. He followed with Romeo and Juliet, and followed that with Moulin Rouge. The 3 works bundled, half manifesto, half wink, into his so-called Red Curtain trilogy, where pop songs collide with classical forms and the camera rushes in like a band leader late for the parade. In recent years, he's kept the carnival spinning with Elvis, a glitter bomb biography that earned 8 Oscar nominations and proved again that Luhrmann's preferred register is the grand, noisy heart. On September 17, 1849, in the marsh hush of Maryland's eastern shore, Harriet Tubman slipped away from Dorchester County with her brothers Henry and Ben, hearts pounding toward the North Star and the rumor of freedom. Before long, the brothers lost their nerve and turned back. Tubman returned with them, but only briefly. She set out again alone, traveling by night, trusting friendly doors and the dark geometry of the Underground Railroad until Philadelphia opened before her. She would go back, again and again, to guide family and neighbors from bondage, and in the war years serve the Union as a scout and nurse, work that widened the path she'd first cut through the reeds that night. The small, bracing trivia is true. Her brothers turned back, but she kept going, and in doing so helped change an entire nation. On September 17, 1976, under the hard sunlight of Palmdale, California, NASA rolled out a spaceship with wings and a hopeful name, Enterprise. The first of a new, reusable fleet shaped like an airplane and dreamed up over nearly a decade at a cost approaching $10 billion. The next year, she proved the hypothesis by riding a Boeing 747 to 25,000 feet, then slipping loose and gliding home to Edwards Air Force Base as quiet as a hawk. 5 years after the unveiling on April 12, 1981, Columbia would climb into orbit atop twin solid rockets and an external tank, circle the planet, and return like a glider to a desert runway, proof that the shuttle could make spaceflight feel almost ordinary. The years ahead would bring triumphs and heartbreak, Hubble repairs and station building, Challenger and Columbia, and a final wheel stop in 2011. But for a moment that September day, the country saw the future taxi past on its own landing gear. On a bright September morning in 1911, Calbraith Perry Rogers, tall, dashing, half-deaf and wholly determined, rose off the grass at Sheepshead Bay, New York, in a spindly Wright Model EX he'd christened after a grape soda, the Vin Fizz. William Randolph Hearst had offered $50,000 to anyone who could stitch the nation together by air in 30 days, and Rogers set out like a barnstorming mailman. A special train clattered along beneath him, mechanics, spare parts, a few gallant optimists, and his wife waving from the platform, ready to patch the biplane as if it were a traveling fiddle with a crack in the belly. He would land in pastures and fairgrounds, meet farmers and school children, and prove, in fits and starts, that America could be flown across. But that first takeoff was the true beginning, a fragile leap that made the whole wide country feel for a moment like a single front yard. And those are some of the things humans have managed to do over the years. Smile more, laugh more, enjoy the company of others more. Reach out to us on social media, subscribe to our stuff. Go have a good day.